Hello and welcome to another recommendation video. As always, these videos are not designed to be full-on detailed reviews. This is just me recommending a game to you because I've been enjoying it recently. So first I'll explain what the game's about and most of what it has to offer, and then we'll talk about why I've been enjoying it, and after that we'll close the video with a quick conclusion. So what is Deep Rock Galactic? Well, it's a co-op first-person shooter featuring procedurally generated caves and completely destructible environments. The game actually came out a while ago on Xbox One and PC in May 2020. However, on the 4th of January 2022, it released on PS4 and PS5 and was actually free on PS Plus. In fact, it still is free on PS Plus right now until early February 2022 if you want to pick it up. Also, in case you were wondering, it is available on Game Pass for Xbox. So what do you do in the game? How does it all work? Well, you play as mercenary dwarf miners who work for the Deep Rock Galactic Mining Corporation. This corporation goes after the most dangerous dig sites in the galaxy, and to do that, they need some strong, reliable, and possibly suicidal dwarves to take on the jobs. You can play as 4 different classes, which are the Driller, Engineer, Gunner, and Scout. Each class has unique weapons, skills, and benefits that they bring to the team, but you can choose to play the entire game solo or have an entire team of gunners if you wanted to. The Driller has a pair of titanium power drills and focuses on clearing a path for himself and the rest of the team. He's also pretty strong up close and has a large flamethrower for mid-range combat. The Engineer generally plays the support role. He can place sentry turrets to protect the team, and he has a platform gun that can produce climbable platforms pretty much anywhere. At short range, they can make use of their combat shotgun, and they have a grenade launcher for dealing with enemies that are further away or in groups. The Gunner is generally the combat specialist who stands up front and shreds enemies with his minigun and powerful revolver. He can also help the team's exploration with his zipline launcher, which allows himself and everyone else to cross large gaps safely. Lastly, we have the Scout, which is who I played as the most. He is probably the most agile of the group and a bit of an all-rounder. Every dwarf can throw out a small glow stick, but the Scout has a large flare gun that can easily illuminate large caverns and help the rest of the team see where they're going. You also have access to a grappling hook that has a lot of range on it, allowing you to quickly get to high places and scout out areas ahead. As far as weapons go, he's equipped with an auto rifle for mid to long range combat and a sawn-off shotgun for close range engagements. Pretty much every item of gear and weaponry can be upgraded by spending resources recovered from your mining missions. Each upgrade node has a selection of perks that you can purchase, but only one can be active at a time. You can also unlock entirely new weapons and gear, which again can all be upgraded and improved. On top of that, you can earn perk points by completing various challenges, which can be spent on perks that you can equip. You can get things like Thorns, which inflict damage back to an enemy that hits you in melee range, or the ability to sprint faster, or even some hover boots if that's what you want. You can find all of these challenges at the screen in your quarters, and you'll generally be able to complete a lot of them simply by playing the game. As you might imagine, there's also quite a few cosmetic items for you to unlock, and these can all be changed in the wardrobe terminals. Some of these are bought from the in-game shop with in-game money only, and some of them are earned through gameplay and assignments. You can also unlock even more cosmetic stuff by taking part in the built-in Battle Pass. It's essentially a seasonal terminal that contains challenges. You'll earn progress on this seasonal Battle Pass by again simply playing the game, but you can also earn big chunks of XP by completing seasonal challenges, which refresh every 24 hours. They're usually simple things like completing 3 of a specific mission type or something similar. As you progress through this free built-in Battle Pass, you'll earn cosmetic items, resources, and these purple coins known as scrip. You can then spend this scrip on the cosmetic tree, which you can see here. I'm not sure if you can actually earn everything on this tree in one season, but I'm personally making a point of going after the skins that correspond to my favorite class first. In order to unlock a lot of the game's features, you'll need to complete assignments, as I mentioned earlier. These are just strings of missions in specific locations. Once you've accepted an assignment, you'll be able to see which mission you need to do when you're on the mission selection map. Once you complete the required missions, you'll unlock a new feature and you can move on to the next assignment. All of the features that I've spoken about are accessed from the main hub, which is basically a space station where the dwarves live and work. It contains literally everything you'll need to equip yourself, upgrade gear, change cosmetics, acquire perks, check assignments, and set up missions. There's actually 4 bedrooms on the space station, and when other players join, they get their own rooms with their screen name above the door, which is a nice touch. As I said earlier, you can play the whole thing solo if you want to, and if you do, you'll be accompanied by a drone robot on each mission that you can upgrade and customize. While it's with you, you can ask it to mine hard-to-reach resources, attack certain enemies, and a few other things besides. I've played most of my time in 2-player co-op, but you can play with as many people as you want, up to a total of 4. Plus the game has a good matchmaking system if you want to play with random people. The objectives of the missions are generally pretty straightforward, so you shouldn't need to communicate with other players if you don't want to, although you might need to later on in some of the endgame activities. I mean, on literally one of the first missions we played, this happened.
Alright team, you're going after eggs this time. Alien eggs. Can't miss them, they're big and they glow. Get the eggs to Stone and Molly and get back alive.
So yeah, your mileage may vary in regards to co-op. The actual missions themselves have a decent amount of variation to them, even though they're all very similar. On top of that, each time you go out on a mission, the caves you explore are all randomly generated, so it's never the same twice. Then when you include the fact that it's all completely destructible, it helps with the repetitiveness of the gameplay. Usually though, you'll be asked to drop into a cave and recover a certain resource, and once you've done that, you just run back to the drop pod for extraction. There is a time limit on the extraction, and you pretty much always get attacked by swarms of aliens as you try to make it back to the pod. Sometimes you'll have to do something a bit more involved, like building a small refinery and keeping it safe, or salvaging some robots, but the ending is pretty much always the same. As you explore and try to complete your missions, you'll be mining various minerals like gold or nitra, for example. You can only hold a certain amount of them, so you have to deposit it into Molly, which kinda sounds wrong, but bear with me. Molly is a walking storage box that you can call to your side at any time. She can't be destroyed or attacked and can pretty much walk anywhere, so she's very reliable, and everything you deposit is essentially banked and safe. Collecting gold gives you more credits to spend at the in-game shop or on upgrades, while nitra is used in the mission itself to cool down a supply pod which contains ammo. You'll also find some rare materials from time to time like bismol, which is used when upgrading your gear, so it's always worth collecting whenever you can. And really that's about it for what the game is, so now let me explain why I've been enjoying it. This game surprised me, like genuinely surprised me. I saw that it was going to be free on PS Plus along with Persona 5 Strikers and Dirt 5, and I thought, well, might as well download it and give it a try. I'd heard a small amount of good things about it, and I knew that a friend of mine was going to give it a try as well. He's the other player you might see in the video, by the way, but anyway, I basically thought, why not just give it a go, right? So I did, and I had such a good time with it. I don't know if I should say addicted, because you know, some people do actually struggle with gaming addiction, but you get what I mean. I played the short tutorial, and I just understood the game immediately. Of course, there are some things that didn't come up until later, but for the most part, I got what I was supposed to do. The game just felt very intuitive and everything just clicked into place very quickly for me, and actually for my friend as well. We were both genuinely impressed from literally the first mission we played, and that's kinda rare for both of us. Visually, I don't think the game looks that good, but it has this kinda blocky, angular art style to it that really suits the whole mining theme, and I think it works really well. I was playing the PS5 version and it actually has 2 modes, performance and fidelity. According to what I've read, you might as well go for fidelity mode because it runs at a rock solid 60 FPS in both modes, pun intended by the way. If I'm not mistaken, I think performance mode is actually designed for 120Hz TVs because this game can run at 120 FPS on a PS5 on a TV that supports it, so that is something to think about. Either way though, performance-wise, it runs like a dream and I don't think I've ever had a single issue with it. Another thing that really impressed me was the addition of the seasonal battle pass. Now I hope there are some other games out there that do this, I'm not sure, but in Deep Rock Galactic you don't have to pay a single penny for this battle pass or its content. In fact, the only DLC this game offers is I think around 6 or 7 cosmetic packs. Now personally I wish it didn't have these at all and I wish it was just all in the game as a reward. However, it is absolutely clear to me that this developer really cares about the game they've created and they're doing a brilliant job at supporting it. So you know, I won't personally be buying the small DLC packs, but I actually wouldn't blame you if you wanted to throw a few dollars or pounds to the devs on this one, especially if you've got the game on PS Plus. Just the fact that they provide seasonal content for free is an absolute win in my opinion, and I'm absolutely going to keep playing the game. While I don't really like DLC cosmetics of any kind, if they were to release, let's say, a large expansion for, I don't know, £15, $20, that kind of thing, and added some new classes, new missions, new enemies, loads of new stuff to earn, and maybe even some new types of caves, I would 100% be on board for that. And lastly, I just want to talk about the gameplay itself. I think just the act of selecting a mission, dropping down into these hostile environments and never knowing what you're going to see is absolutely brilliant. I've dropped into certain types of caves many times, but they always feel different. I mean, could this feeling wear off over a longer period of time? I guess so, maybe, but as of right now I absolutely love it, and I'm literally balancing my time between making videos and playing more of this game. There's quite a few games out there that use procedural generation to create the environments that you explore, and I think a lot of them run into some issues when your character has to interact with it, especially after some sort of destruction or deformation. Not all of them have this kind of problem, but I've played a fair few that do, and in Deep Rock, I've never had a single issue navigating the space, despite digging through walls and shooting enemies that explode. In fact, the same's true for the Molly robot that follows you around. It's always been able to get to me no matter where I called it from. And this works the other way as well. I've not really been able to find a place in a cave where I could just cheese the enemies from. They can always get to you, which I think is great for the gameplay and the immersion. And I guess I just enjoy playing the game overall. I like the weapons, the upgrades, the classes, the missions, the enemies, and virtually everything else as well. It's just great, and if you couldn't tell, I highly recommend it. And with that said, I think it's time to move on to the conclusion. In my opinion, Deep Rock Galactic is an entertaining, engaging, and enjoyable game that has great gameplay and replayability. The developers obviously care about the game that they've created, and it absolutely shows. This game could have easily gone down the free-to-play route, and I'm so incredibly glad that it didn't. Ultimately, this is something that I hope to be playing for a long time. It's got a lot going for it, and most importantly, it's fun. Of course, you may download it and simply not like it, which is fine. If you aren't interested in it at all, then I wouldn't push you to play it, but if you have even the slightest, the smallest amount of interest in Deep Rock Galactic, I'd say it's a pretty safe bet and that you should dig right in. And so there you go, now you know why I recommend Deep Rock Galactic. The PS4 and PS5 versions are available right now on PS Plus until February 2022. You can also get it on Xbox Game Pass and of course on PC. If you enjoyed the video, I really hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel, and if you like what I do and want to offer your support, please check out the first link in the video description down below. But with all that said, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.